At 70 years old, I thought my biggest joy was my 3 grandchildren. But when I discovered they'd been stealing my credit cards, forging my signature, and planning to have me declared incompetent to steal my $2 million inheritance, I realized they weren't family. They were con artists. They thought I was just a senile old woman who wouldn't notice. They were wrong. Over the next 8 months, I exposed their fraud, got them arrested, and rewrote my will to give everything to charity. This is the story of how I destroyed the grandchildren who tried to destroy me. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you never miss revenge stories like this. My name is Dorothy Patterson, and I'm 70 years old. For most of my life, I thought being a grandmother was the greatest blessing anyone could have. I was wrong. My husband George died 5 years ago from cancer. We'd been married for 46 years, and losing him nearly destroyed me. George had been a successful accountant, and together we'd saved carefully and invested wisely. When he died, he left me a comfortable estate, about $2 million in investments, savings, and our paid-off home in Connecticut. We had one daughter, Susan, who died in a car accident when she was just 32. That tragedy happened 15 years ago, and it was the worst pain I'd ever experienced. Losing a child is something no parent should endure, but Susan left behind 3 children, my grandchildren. Tyler was 25 now, working in finance in New York City. Madison was 23, supposedly studying graphic design, and Kyle was 21, in his final year of college. After Susan died and George passed away, those 3 kids became my whole world. I spoiled them rotten. I paid for their college tuitions, over $300,000 total. I bought them cars. I gave them money whenever they asked. Tyler needed $10,000 for a business opportunity. Done. Madison needed $5,000 for art supplies. Of course. Kyle needed $7,000 for textbooks and living expenses. Absolutely. I loved them. I trusted them, and I thought they loved me too. Every Sunday, at least one of them would visit. They'd have dinner with me, tell me about their lives, and I'd feel less lonely. Tyler would talk about his big deals in finance. Madison would show me her design work on her laptop. Kyle would tell me about his classes. I was so proud of them, so grateful to have them in my life. Then 6 months ago, something happened that made me start paying attention. I was at the grocery store when my credit card was declined. The cashier ran it twice, then apologetically told me there was a problem. "That's odd," I said. "Let me try my other card." That one was declined too. I ended up paying with a check, embarrassed and confused. When I got home, I immediately called my bank. "Mrs. Patterson, both your credit cards are maxed out," the customer service representative told me. "That's impossible. I barely use those cards. What are the charges?" She read through recent transactions, designer clothes from boutiques in Manhattan, expensive dinners at trendy restaurants, a MacBook Pro, concert tickets, luxury hotel stays, none of which I'd purchased. "Someone's been using my cards," I said, my heart sinking. "We'll open a fraud investigation immediately. You should also file a police report." I hung up and looked at the charges more carefully online. Most of them were in New York City, where Tyler lived. Some were in Boston, where Madison had recently moved. A few were in New Haven, where Kyle went to college. My grandchildren. They'd been using my credit cards without asking. I called Tyler first. "Honey, did you use my credit card recently?" There was a pause. "Oh, Grandma, I'm sorry. I was going to tell you, my card was frozen for some security issue, and I needed to close a deal. I borrowed yours just for a few days. I'll pay you back." "Tyler, there's $20,000 in charges. It's all business expenses. I'll reimburse you as soon as my big deal closes." Something about his voice sounded off, but I wanted to believe him. I called Madison next. "Sweetie, did you use my credit card?" "Oh yeah, Grandma. I'm sorry, I should have asked. But I had a huge opportunity to work with this design client, and I needed new equipment. Don't worry, I'm going to pay you back from my next project." Kyle had similar excuses. "School expenses, Grandma. The bookstore wouldn't take my card. I'll pay you back. $53,000. Between the 3 of them, they'd charge $53,000 to my credit cards without asking. I need you all to pay me back," I said firmly to each of them. "This month." They all promised they would. None of them did. When none of my grandchildren paid me back after 2 months, I started investigating. I'm 70 years old, but I'm not stupid. George taught me how to manage money, and I'd always kept careful records. So I went through my bank statements, credit card bills, and checkbook for the past 3 years. What I found made me sick. Over the past 3 years, my grandchildren had stolen over $200,000 from me. Credit card charges I'd never approved, checks with forged signatures, electronic transfers from my accounts. They'd even opened new credit cards in my name using my information. Tyler's big business deals didn't exist. He was living in an expensive Manhattan apartment, going to clubs, buying designer clothes, all on my money. Madison's design projects, fake. She wasn't even enrolled in school anymore. She dropped out a year ago, but kept taking my tuition payments. Kyle's school expenses. He'd failed out of college 6 months ago and was living with friends, partying, and traveling, all funded by me. They'd been systematically stealing from me for 3 years, and they'd been lying to me the entire time. I called a family meeting. All 3 of them came to my house, probably expecting another handout. "We need to talk about money," I said calmly. "Oh, Grandma, we're going to pay you back soon," Tyler said smoothly. "My deal is about to close." "Stop lying," I said. "I know you don't have any deals. I know you've been living off my money. All of you." Madison's face went red. "Grandma, I've documented everything. $200,000 stolen over 3 years. Credit card fraud. Forged checks. You've been robbing me." Kyle stood up angrily. "Robbing you? Grandma, you're loaded. You don't need all that money. What are you going to do with it? You're 70. "That's not the point. You're just being selfish," Madison added. "Mom would have wanted you to help us. Your mother would be ashamed of what you've become," I said quietly. "Whatever," Tyler said. "Are you going to keep giving us money or not?" "No, not another cent. And I want you to pay back what you've stolen." All 3 of them laughed, actually laughed. "Or what?" Kyle said. "You going to call the cops on your own grandkids? Good luck with that, old lady." They left, and I sat there, heartbroken and furious. But they'd made a critical mistake. They'd underestimated me. I hired a lawyer named Patricia Hernandez, who specialized in elder financial abuse. "Mrs. Patterson, what your grandchildren did is criminal," Patricia said after reviewing my evidence. "This is textbook elder financial exploitation. What are my options? Press criminal charges, sue them in civil court for the money, or both. I want both." Patricia also recommended I hire a forensic accountant. His name was David Chen, and he was brilliant. Within 2 weeks, David had traced every stolen dollar, every forged signature, every fraudulent transaction. The total? $237,000 stolen over 3 years. But David found something else. My grandchildren hadn't just been stealing from me. They'd been planning something bigger. He discovered emails between Tyler and a lawyer discussing how to establish guardianship over an incompetent elderly relative. The emails were from 4 months ago. They'd been planning to have me declared incompetent so they could take control of my entire $2 million estate. "Mrs. Patterson, they were going to institutionalize you and steal everything," David said. "If you hadn't caught on when you did, they would have succeeded." I felt like I'd been punched. My own grandchildren were planning to lock me away and take everything George and I had worked for. Patricia filed criminal charges with the police. The detective who took my case, Detective Maria Santos, was sympathetic and thorough. "Ma'am, I see cases like this more often than you'd think. Family members stealing from elderly relatives. It's disgusting. What happens now? We arrest them, all 3, and we prosecute them to the fullest extent." 3 weeks later, police arrested Tyler at his Manhattan apartment. They arrested Madison in Boston. They arrested Kyle at a bar in New Haven. All 3 were charged with elder financial abuse, fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Their bail was set at $50,000 each. None of them could make it. They sat in jail for 2 weeks before their grandmother, me, refused to bail them out. "Grandma, please." Tyler called me from jail crying, "I'm sorry. We made a mistake. You made many mistakes for 3 years. We'll pay you back. Just get us out of here. No. But we're family. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't try to lock their grandmother in a nursing home to steal her money. You're not my family anymore. I hung up. The criminal trial took 4 months. All 3 of my grandchildren pleaded not guilty, claiming they'd had my permission to use my money. The prosecutor, Assistant District Attorney Robert Morrison, destroyed that defense. If they had permission, Morrison said in court, why did they forge Mrs. Patterson's signature? Why did they open credit cards in her name without telling her? Why did they discuss having her declared incompetent? The evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, forged checks, credit card statements, those damning emails about guardianship. I had to testify. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Sitting on that witness stand, looking at my grandchildren, and telling the truth about what they'd done. Mrs. Patterson, the prosecutor asked, did you give your grandchildren permission to take $237,000 from you? No. I gave them money willingly over the years, tuition, help with expenses. But they stole this money without my knowledge or consent. How did that make you feel? I looked directly at Tyler, Madison, and Kyle. They wouldn't meet my eyes. Betrayed, heartbroken. My daughter, their mother, died 15 years ago. These 3 children were all I had left of her. I loved them more than anything, and they saw me as nothing but a source of money to steal. The defense lawyers tried to paint me as confused or vindictive, but I'd prepared for that. I had cognitive test results from my doctor showing I was mentally sharp. I had character witnesses, my neighbors, my friends, my financial advisor, all testifying that I was completely competent. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty, on all counts. All 3 of them. The sentencing hearing was 3 weeks later. All 3 of my grandchildren faced up to 10 years in prison each. Tyler's lawyer begged for mercy. Your Honor, my client is young. He made terrible mistakes, but he's not a career criminal. Madison cried on the stand. I'm so sorry, Grandma. Please forgive me. I don't know what I was thinking. Kyle's lawyer argued that Kyle had been influenced by his older siblings and deserved leniency. Then it was my turn to give a victim impact statement. Your Honor, I'm 70 years old. My husband died 5 years ago. My daughter died 15 years ago. These 3 young people were all the family I had left. I loved them. I supported them. I would have given them anything they asked for. I looked at my grandchildren, but instead of asking, they stole. Instead of being honest, they lied. And when I caught them, they didn't apologize. They laughed at me and called me a selfish old lady. What hurts most isn't the money, it's the betrayal. They didn't just steal $200,000. They were planning to have me declared incompetent and locked away so they could steal everything. They were willing to destroy my freedom, my dignity, and my life for money. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, looked at my grandchildren with disgust. I've been a judge for 23 years, she said. I've seen many cases of family betrayal. But this is one of the most heartless. Mrs. Patterson trusted you, loved you, supported you, and you repaid that love by stealing from her and planning to institutionalize her. She sentenced Tyler to 7 years in state prison. Madison got 6 years. Kyle got 5 years. As the bailiffs led them away, Tyler shouted at me, I hope you're happy. You destroyed your own grandchildren. No, I said calmly, you destroyed yourselves. After the trial, I met with my estate attorney, Harold Weinstein. Harold, I need to change my will. Of course. What changes would you like to make? I'm disinheriting all 3 of my grandchildren. Completely. They get nothing. Harold nodded. Given what they did, that's certainly your right. Who would you like to leave your estate to? I've been thinking about that. I want to establish a foundation, the Susan Patterson Foundation for Elder Financial Abuse Prevention, named after my daughter. The foundation will help elderly people who've been victimized by family members. Legal assistance, financial counseling, support services, that's a wonderful legacy. And I want to donate to organizations that help at-risk youth, kids who might end up like my grandchildren. Maybe if someone had taught them better values, they wouldn't have become criminals. Over the next month, Harold helped me set up the foundation. I donated $1 million to establish it. The other $1 million would fund it after my death. The Susan Patterson Foundation opened 6 months later. We've already helped 12 elderly people who were victims of financial abuse by family members. We've recovered over $400,000 in stolen money. We've gotten 6 abusers arrested and prosecuted. My daughter Susan's name is now associated with helping people instead of being forgotten. That gives me peace. My grandchildren have been in prison for 8 months now. Tyler has written me 3 letters. All of them are full of apologies and promises to change. I haven't responded to any of them. Madison's mother-in-law, she got married in secret 2 years ago. Another thing she lied about. Called me asking if I'd consider helping Madison get early parole. She suffered enough, the woman said. She's your granddaughter. She stopped being my granddaughter when she tried to steal my life, I said. She'll serve her full sentence. Kyle's friends started a GoFundMe to help Kyle Patterson, wrongly imprisoned by his vindictive grandmother. It raised $300 before I had my lawyer send them a cease and desist letter threatening legal action for defamation. Life has been lonely since all this happened. My grandchildren were my only family and now they're gone, locked away for their crimes. But I've found a new community through the foundation. I've met other elderly people who've been betrayed by family. We support each other. We share our stories. We work together to help other victims. I've also started volunteering at a local community center, teaching financial literacy to seniors. I tell them about warning signs of financial abuse. I teach them how to protect themselves. Don't be like me, I tell them. I trusted blindly. I ignored red flags because I love my grandchildren. Love doesn't mean letting people steal from you. Last week I finally read Tyler's letters, all 3 of them. I'd been avoiding them, but I decided it was time. The first letter from 2 months ago was full of excuses. Grandma, we were young and stupid. We didn't understand the consequences. Please forgive us. The second letter from a month ago was angrier. You ruined our lives over money. We made mistakes, but you destroyed your own grandchildren. How can you live with yourself? The third letter from last week was different. Grandma, I've been in prison for 8 months now. I've had a lot of time to think. You were right about everything. We weren't just stealing money. We were stealing your trust, your love, your dignity. We treated you like an ATM instead of a person. Madison, Kyle, and I have been in therapy here. We're trying to understand why we became the kind of people who would do this. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I finally understand what we did. And I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Tyler. I read that letter 3 times, then I did something I hadn't planned to do. I wrote back, Tyler, I received your letters. I appreciate that you're finally taking responsibility for your actions. You, Madison, and Kyle didn't just steal money. You tried to steal my freedom and dignity. That's unforgivable. But I hope these years in prison teach you to be better people. When you're released, you'll need to rebuild your lives from nothing. That's what consequences look like. Your grandmother who you tried to destroy. Dorothy. It's not forgiveness, but maybe it's a start. I'm 70 years old. I've buried a husband and a daughter. I've been betrayed by the grandchildren I loved more than life itself. I've spent 8 months watching them go to prison for trying to destroy me. People ask if I regret pressing charges, if I wish I'd just let it go and kept my family. The answer is no. What Tyler, Madison, and Kyle did wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated, systematic theft that lasted 3 years. They weren't just stealing money. They were planning to have me declared incompetent and institutionalized so they could take everything. If I'd forgiven them and given them another chance, they would have done it again. Predators don't stop until they're stopped. I protected myself. I protected my late husband's legacy. And I created something good, the foundation that will help other elderly people for years to come. That's not something to regret. That's something to be proud of. I'm 70 years old. I live alone now with no family left. But I'm not lonely. I have the foundation. I have my volunteer work. I have new friends who understand what I've been through. And I have my dignity, my freedom, my independence. My grandchildren tried to take all of that from me. They failed. Because being 70 doesn't mean being helpless. It means having 7 decades of experience, wisdom, and strength. And that's more powerful than any scam.